When I decide to start working on a new video, it'll usually be about a subject I knew I wanted to make something on for a while. I bring that up to say the topics I choose to make into videos are never spontaneous. That is not what happened with this video at all. I thought it would be fine with only my ranking of all the courses of 8 Deluxe because of how well that game represents the entire franchise. I foolishly thought I would be content. I didn't expect to get more into the Wii era. I did not think that when I eventually decided that I should maybe try and 100% Mario Kart Wii for whenever I got any urge to play in the future, since I occasionally did via Dolphin, for which I downloaded a 100% save file prior, it would lead to one of my most fixated experiences with a game ever. I thought it would be a more passive on and off experience that I could do whenever I had an hour or two to kill. Mario Kart Wii proceeded to then become my sole focus for the entirety of my President's Day weekend. I just couldn't put it down. I was 3-starring every cup in each speed class pretty much daily, and I was captivated. Mario Kart Wii exudes unbelievable amounts of aura. It's unreal. I adore the game for a majority of reasons. One of them is because Funky Kong Flame Runner, but there's also the chill vibes that the menu music exudes and the sheer chaos the item rotation creates that, on occasion, feels extremely targeted yet is always fun. But one of the most important elements that makes Mario Kart Wii as good as it is has to be the wonderful assortment of tracks that the game offers. The new courses it introduces are beyond amazing and instantly iconic. Like, genuinely, you could go up to a random person that's around 10 to 39 years old and ask them what they think of Coconut Mall, and I feel more often than not, they would know what you're talking about.
Disclaimer, do not go up to random people and ask them what they think about Coconut Mall.
And that's not to discredit the set of retro tracks either. Yeah, it still may pale in comparison to the Nitro tracks and other retro tracks seen in future entries, but again, that doesn't mean they're bad in the slightest. Most, I would say, are good, even managing to usurp some of the new courses. Overall, the track selection in Mario Kart Wii is great. I'd say it's second to 8 because, I mean, come on. But I already have a video where I rank that game's courses that you can feel free to check out at some other point. So let's dive right into the wonderful tracks Mario Kart Wii has to offer. Well, eventually we will. Not all the tracks can be outstanding, and the tracks I have ranked towards the bottom sure aren't. Well, we gotta start at some point, so here we go. I'm not even sure if they actually finished GBA Shy Guy Beach. The course looks abysmal, and these tiny strips of water are so annoying and don't feel like they were playtested. It's considered off-road, so it's not any different to if these strips were just grass. Do you really want to see that in a track? They're fine for a game like Super Circuit, since jumping is a more relevant mechanic that's factored into the game's tracks. But jumping's not important in Mario Kart Wii, meaning your pitiful jumps aren't nearly enough for this obstacle to feel satisfying. Like, it probably wouldn't even be bad if it were to be remade again, since underwater driving would just fix the problem. Hell, it being in DS over Wii might have been better since that game's physics are a bit nicer with off-road. Mario Kart Wii was the absolute worst game that could have gotten a remake of Shy Guy Beach, and it shows. Oh well, at least the parts of the track where you're nowhere near to touching water are nice, and so is the music. And I like the shortcut where you can go around this patch of off-road. Track still sucks though. My problem with Shy Guy Beach was that it was just a bad Mario Kart Wii track. DS Desert Hills is a bad Mario Kart track in general. I have no words. Like, what do you want me to say? What can I say? Is there any one detail about Desert Hills that's worth mentioning? You're just driving through a random spot in the desert with all the directions you take feeling haphazardly assigned. Hi, so something got messed up with my recording of Desert Hills, which kinda works in my favor since the rest of the video was written and recorded before the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd. Wow, just like the Wii U 2D platformer video, it's almost like I recorded them on the same day. Let me start this off by saying I have more issues with Mario Kart World's retro tracks. Choco Mountain and Moo Moo Meadows were a bit too recent and don't really need a revamp. The lack of any courses from Super Circuit or 8 is baffling, and there's some courses I think were such a missed opportunity to bring back, like Frappe Snowland and Mushroom City just to name some. Overall though, the retros look sick. They contain pretty much every course I thought was missing from the Booster Course Pass, the revamps to the Double Dash tracks are crazy, N64 Wario Stadium is finally returning, and I am so glad to revisit Airship Fortress, Shy Guy Bazaar, Wario Shipyard, and Toad's Factory. Like, oh my god, it's so peak, but you'll hear more about that when I get to the actually good tracks. There is just one sore spot that prevents the retro selection from being phenomenal. Why the is
DS Desert Hills back. It is one of the most worthless, banal, garbage tracks in the entire franchise. It's supposed to be themed around the desert levels in Mario 3 specifically, and I like the theme in that game since things like pyramids in that one level are neat, and the pipes specifically are very unique. I'd love to see them implemented into a Mario Kart track that's based off of them. I'm still waiting. They're constricted only to be PNGs in the background and do not have anything to do with the actual track. Like, it was right there. But of course they didn't use them, that's so cool. Desert Hills is the stupidest f***ing track that should have never left the beta stage in this state. It's just nothing, which makes it all the more egregious that this track, out of all of the 16 godforsaken tracks Mario Kart DS introduced, was chosen not only to be remade in the first place, but one of the very first tracks from that game to get a remake. How do you f*** that up? And why would you remake it again? In my hands, I've prepared a list of every single Mario Kart track in existence that would work in the open world, excluding some that are dependent on the time of day, weather conditions, use of anti-gravity, or your state of being, and just ones that deserve to come back more than this piece of shit. Like the ones in 8 that are already perfect reimaginings, for example, but also including ones I think could use another shot. So, without further ado, Choco Island, Villanilla Lake, Luigi Raceway, Moo Moo Farm, Calamari Desert, Frappe Snowland, Mario Raceway, Sherbet Land, N64 Bowser's Castle, DK's Jungle Parkway, Banshee Boardwalk, Peach Circuit, Shy Guy Beach, the GBA Bowser Castles, Sky Garden, Chi Chi Island, Yoshi Desert, Lakeside Park, Broken Pier, GBA Rainbow Road, GameCube Luigi Circuit, Mushroom Bridge, GameCube Mario Circuit, Mushroom City, Wario Coliseum, GameCube Bowser's Castle, GameCube Rainbow Road, Yoshi Falls, Luigi's Mansion, Shroom Ridge, DS Bowser Castle, DS Rainbow Road, Wii Luigi Circuit, Coconut Knoll, Koopa Cave, Dry Ruins, Wii Bowser's Castle, Daisy Hills, Rock Mountain, Rosalina's Ice World, 3DS Bowser's Castle, Sweet Canyon, Swamp Ruins, Toad Harbor, Shy Guy Falls, Sunshine Airport, Dolphin Shoals, Mount Wario, Bone Dry Dunes, Ice Ice Outpost, Super Rail Subway, Ninja Hideaway, Piranha Plant Cove, Piranha Plant Pipeline, anything other than DS Desert Hills.
Talking about DS Yoshi Falls makes me feel drowsy. The course is pretty simple, just a weird looking oval that has a giant Yoshi egg in the middle for some reason. I do really like how you can risk going across the waterfalls for a tighter turn. I like the trick ramp off the bridge, and the boost panels I think are placed well. And that's everything of substance. Yippee, what a cool track. Yeah, I don't know, much like Yoshi Falls, I've got nothing to offer. Yay! Grass! N64 Mario Raceway is my pick for the most boring looking track of the game. Even with tracks I think look like shit, they at least captivate me. This looks like a template level you'd see in Unity. Meanwhile, the track layout isn't contributing much either. It's an assortment of bends of the road and such, with very little to contribute. Wow, look, a giant pipe tunnel, so enamoring. There is one thing I really like about this track though, and that's how you can cut through this turn, and if you use your mushroom smartly, or just have another, you can then go into a different patch of off-road to use this ramp, which was really satisfying for me to figure out at my time trials for this track. And 64's Raceway theme is fun, that too. And the worst nitro track in Mario Kart Wii is Wii Mario Circuit. Wow, 2 Mario Circuits back to back, what joy. The thing with this iteration that makes me dislike it this much is that it's devoid of anything special. I guess there's a turnaround in Chain Chomp, okay? But ooh, this one's different from the Double Dash one because you can mushroom to this ramp, wowie zowie. Never mind the fact that it's all this track has, while the Double Dash version has some bumps and a bridge you can trick off of. Why does the GameCube one feel like the new one? Most of Wii Mario Circuit is boring roads with 0 points of interest. Like, you could literally warp every part of the track that isn't the Chain Chomp turn in a different direction and it would feel barely any different. It's just super uninventive overall. Okay, I was definitely way too harsh on Grumble Volcano in my Mario Kart 8 ranking video, and I probably wouldn't put it in last place nowadays. But with that said, it's still the lowest ranked track in this game that's also an 8, and the second lowest ranked Nitro track, so it's not that much of an improvement. I've already talked about how I find the theme of the track really boring and how I hate the stage crumbling as a gimmick, so I won't dig too deep. And also, the Wii version has a little something extra because this place looks like ass. Like, look at the cave with the split off and tell me this is visually appealing. I'm not the biggest fan of Wii's visuals in general, but it especially doesn't look great here. Still though, I don't vitriolically abhor Grumble Volcano anymore and appreciate that even with the stage crumbling, the track layout is really good. It's a nice assortment of sharp twists and hazards. I probably still prefer the 8 version because of the updated visuals and the glider ramps, but only in Wii I like these moving hexagon thingies. The game has bouncier physics, so I find jumping on and off of them fun and sufficient obstacles, unlike how they are in 8, where they just feel like an extension of the road. Lastly, this doesn't affect the ranking a whole lot, but I'm a big fan of the ultra shortcut on this track. That's funny as shit. Congratulations, Grumble Volcano, for not being last place again. Proud of you, still hate your guts. We're on SNES Mario Circuit 3! Anyways, let's, I ranked SNES Mario Circuit 3 right above Grumble Volcano in my 8 video, and it's no different here. There's nothing special in the slightest. All it really has going for it is the track layout, which I guess is good. Racing on it gives a unique vibe I don't get from any other track, where I'm laser focused on trying to weave through the tight turns flawlessly. I am locked the f in when I'm playing this track. The problem is now that I've become aware of that feeling, I've noticed hints of that sensation in tracks like Rainbow Road, and the feeling's buried because that course is actually interesting. Mario Circuit 3 doesn't even have a drop of that extra flavor to it, and is restricted only to that singular feeling. It's simply Mario Kart stripped down to its purest form, without any of the pizzazz that tracks with actual themes, hazards, and elevation have. It's nothing more than just a track in a Mario Kart game. Alright, the weird amalgamation of Mario Circuits 1, 2, and 3 and Mario Kart World. I don't have any really strong opinions on them, except that something that would be better is if they just remade Mario Circuit 4 instead. Ed 64 Sugarland is certainly in the game too. A majority of the track is way too open, and there's no variety besides the cave, which I do really enjoy since you can clear it all in one continuous drift that's a little challenging and pretty fun to pull off. I also like the turns at the beginning of the course, they're fun as well. The penguins also make for cool set pieces and obstacles. And that's, about it. I was not expecting to hate Wario's Gold Mine as much as I ended up doing. I like it fine enough in 8, the lighting's really good, and I love the anti-gravity section they added. Meanwhile, the Wii version is just frustrating. I mean, look at this turn, that's just vile. Why on God's green earth did they design it like that? I genuinely loathe it, and I'm ecstatic that 8 took the dip out entirely. I also like how 8 made the minecart's anti-gravity boost contrary to the annoying obstacles they are in Wii. Like, I wouldn't even mind them as much if hitting them didn't stun you for 5 seconds. But I still find the rest of the track on the same level of enjoyment that I find 8's. The beginning and ending dips are cool, despite the fact that you can't wheelie when going back up them because physics or whatever. Man, f that. The half pipes are fine enough additions, and the secret pathway near the end is really cool, and honestly aided by the minecarts being obnoxious. Damn, those floating PNGs of booths are scary as f. I don't think I'll be able to drive properly. Much like SNES Mario Circuit 3, I lock in for SNES Ghost Valley 2, but feel nothing much else. I do think it's a better layout, and I like how they adapted the feather shortcut by adding a ramp here. Because exploring is I have no clue why they placed an item box right after a ramp where you have no choice of getting it if you use the ramp. I'm nitpicking at this point, let's just move on. I probably should have ranked Wii Luigi Circuit much lower than I have it, but oh well, it's here anyway. The layout is very basic, and the only points of interest are the lineup of boost panels here and this ramp. Honestly, most of the heavy lifting is because this is the first track in the cup, so the beginning part, which you can either drift around or wheelie through, which I like, is a lot more hectic with a cluster of racers, and your chances of getting an item to cut into the off-road and use the ramp are much higher. And while simple, I do really like all of the boost panels. It's a nice finisher and makes for a pretty good starter track. Also, giant Luigi statue, that's really cool. Wow, GCN Mario Circuit, we were just talking about you 6 placements ago! Yeah, even though I was using this as a good example, it still isn't super special. As I had mentioned then, the bumps and bridge at the end are really fun to trick off of, but that's about all I get from this track. You turn around a chain chomp, cool, I guess. Not really noteworthy, and would it be something I would reuse for the next console Mario Kart? We did not need 4 Mario Circuits in this game, good god. Why is this the only Bowser's Castle from a 3D Mario Kart they remade? Why this one? I much would have taken the Double Dash DS version before the N64 one, but I guess I'm stuck with it. The course layout is way too open. If you were confined to just the red carpet, and if the ceiling was lower, similar to this segment of the track, I think that would have alleviated a lot of my issues. Instead, the track feels way too spacious, and I play sloppier because I don't have any real urge to try. The parts of the track that aren't that though, I quite like. I think the various gardens scattered around the castle outskirts are a nice contrast to the never-ending lake of lava seen near the starting line. Whereas there, I appreciate the bridge segments, the spiral upwards, and the tricks he can do off of these ramps. Also, Marty is like in the top 10 of epicest fictional characters, so bonus points for that. Genuinely, the issue of too much space is the one thing holding the course back, and it probably also would have liked it more if the lighting inside was similar to the outside segments, like at least get some windows, Bowser. Moo Moo Meadows is the textbook definition of the second course in the game. It's simple in both its theme and track layout, and while that's not a bad thing, it isn't exactly a benefit either. I do really like cutting through the first couple of turns with some mushrooms, and the trick ramp at the end is very fun to use, but it's pretty simple and the whole track has nothing to write home about. If I'm honest, the only reason Moo Moo Meadows is this high is because of those memes where people altered its Mario Kart 8 course icons. Those were funny as shit. And while I'm on the subject of Mario Kart memes I love, big fan of the ones where they just captioned a random video of correlating track with its music playing in the background. Also, with the exception of Mario Luigi Circuit, it just happens that the 3 lowest ranked Nitro tracks are also the ones they remade for base Mario Kart 8 in its DLC. How wonderful.
Future me again, hi. Moo Moo Meadows in Mario Kart World confuses me. Like, you just had it in 8. Aside from 7, it's been in every Mario Kart since its introduction, and like, you're gonna do that to Moo Moo Meadows? Like, it's fine and all, I like the track, but we do not need Moo Moo Meadows again. The Mario Kart Wii selections for World should not be 2 Mushroom Cup courses, as great as Wii's Mushroom Cup is.
Much to my surprise, I kinda enjoyed GBA Bowser Castle 3. I should feel the exact same way about this track as I feel about SNES Mario Circuit 3 and Ghost Valley 2, but I don't. I like maneuvering through the passageways and the ramps feel good to trick on. I guess I really like the atmosphere this one has. The blue coloring of the skybox and guardrails help to make this course stand out. Unlike the rest of the tracks in Super and Super Circuit and Wii, this one feels meaty and long, and like it has actual substance. Still pales in comparison to the representation of Super Circuit tracks in 8 and SNES Bowser Castle 3, though I know it would have been leagues better in that game. You know, I highly doubt we'll be seeing GC and Peach Beach again, which is kinda sad. Underwater driving just negates one of the course's main obstacles. The tides dictating whether you can take the path straight and wide or to drift alongside the edges is a really neat obstacle that Nintendo will probably have a hard time reinventing. They probably could think of something, but I doubt it'll feel the same. Oh well, at least I can appreciate the original version and Wii's fine remake. Peach Beach was a great pick to open up the Retro Cup since it's simple and very laid back. Beaches are nice, damn it. The Cataquacks are a unique and dangerous obstacle, and I like the final road up since you can wheelie through that and it's super fun. Not much beyond that, it's a very simple track, but also a nice time.
And right as I yapped about how we'll never see Peach Beach for a while, it gets added in the next game. Yeah, my bad for not calling the change to water driving. It looks pretty good, especially with the lighting, and I'm excited to try this one out. Also, Cataquack as a playable racer is the best thing since sliced bread.
Man, this name just feels off now that DK Jungle exists. I like N64 DK's Jungle Parkway, it's one of 64's best tracks. It's pleasing in one of Wii's better looking remakes. I like that the course takes place alongside a river since it looks great with the sunset in the back, and I also like how you can hit a lot of mini turbos twisting up to the launch pad, which definitely feels off nowadays since you know this would be a glider ramp in a future remake. The cave's a nice way to end off the course, especially since you can just cut up to the entrance like this. Super satisfying to do that. My main issue with Jungle Parkway arises between the landing area and the bridge. It is just so unmemorable. They're good turns, but that's all they are. If they had some obstacles like the porcupines on Yoshi Valley, I have no idea why I gravitated to them, but something to make this section of the track memorable. Oh well, at least I can get my DK track fix in this game elsewhere. Guys, please do not pelt me with rocks for what I'm about to say, alright? I don't get the Hyper Route Koopa cape. It's good and I understand why people like it, but I don't think it's on the same level as Coconut Mall and Maple Triolet. Like, come on. I do really like the running water though. It makes for a very cool mechanic, and in the Wii iteration especially, you feel that boost in speed. I'm upset that 7 and 8 opened up the underwater tube because it removes the water flow for that section, and the enclosed glass tube is a lot more interesting of a set piece, but I prefer it in those games. I don't miss the rotating lightning rods at all, they always felt like artificial difficulty to me, and that half pipe 8 edit is so much fun to use. It's a worthwhile trade in my opinion. Music's chipper and I like it, but I don't know if I prefer Wii or 8's version. Good track, but for me, it's nothing more than that. Did you know that Wii Bowser's Castle's music track is just Maple Treeway's song slowed down and put into a minor key? Wow, that's so crazy. Anyway, Wii Bowser's Castle is great. Probably my second favorite right behind 8's, and it's clear to see why. I think the jump into the wobbling hallway is really cool, and hitting some half pipes while maneuvering around the fireballs in the chamber with the giant Bowser statue is pretty fun. The turns leading up to the end are great, and tricking off the lava geysers is nice, but not the best way to finish the lap. As cool of an Easter egg the music is, it's not particularly good. Like, I have no desire to listen to an alteration of a song that I would pick over most others in this game in a heartbeat. Also, the thwomps are back again in another Bowser's Castle. Yay, so cool, they're not overused at all. Genuinely, why did it take until 8 for us to get a Bowser's Castle without thwomps in it? That's such an odd statistic. How do they consistently do that? I don't know, put Mecha Koopas here or something instead. Just a minor nitpick though. Overall, very good Bowser's Castle. The vibes of DS Delfino Square just hit, man. The town feels alive, and I love how this takes place at fall time. It's a really nice aesthetic choice that helps the course stand out. The music is welcoming and bouncy, aiding to the overall liveliness. The track layout is surprisingly stellar. I love this first turn around the statue, and this part where the path splits around this block is an excellent addition. But you know what we're here for. That drawbridge at the end of the course uplifts you and feels euphoric to do a trick off of. Other than that, the course doesn't go for anything super crazy, hence why it's not very high. I have zero issues with Delfino Square. It's just a very nice track. I love it when they make a desert track interesting. Look, I may be a Bone Dry Dunes defender, but even then they tend to miss. I mean, you saw how hard it was on Desert Hills. Anyway, my appreciation for Dry Ruins is completely valid. The track takes some pretty fun dips and bumps at the beginning, and the actual ruins are cool as well. Using the half-pipes to cut through the off-road is such a good idea, and the jump out of the temple, oh man! Dry Ruins just feels great. Those last couple of turns are a perfect way to end off the track. Or you can cut off all that with a mushroom. It's a nice shortcut, but the only reason I'm bringing it up is because it just sends you flying instead of actually going across the off-road, and that's really funny. And in future laps, some pillars will come down and you can trick off of them for speed boost or even to cut off some corners. Music is also pretty fire as well. Not the temple part though, that section's music f***ing sucks. DS Peach Gardens just hits with those soothing vibes, which are especially seen with the music. I wrote most of this video with the 8 version extended to 16 minutes and on loop on everyone's favorite music streaming platform, and it was really nice, something I'd definitely do again. I have a lot of fun weaving around the hedges and chain jumps in that one section, and the flower beds at the areas that close it off are fun obstacles. Kinda upset 8 removed them, like my only issue with them is that one of them is placed kinda weird, which they could have just moved to the left a little bit or something. I'll tell you what the 8 version did right though, having a Luigi hedge. I mean, come on, Mario Kart Wii, where the f*** is Luigi? Oh, and an entire alternate third lap too, I guess. My biggest issue holding Peach Gardens back is that I'd just rather play the 8 version since it's strictly better. That's not its fault though, since it's still great in this game and the best DS course in Wii. Not that it was much of a competition in the first place. Daisy Circuit is simply pleasing. First off, the music track is fantastic. It's a good reimagining of Wii's regular circuit theme, and it's very effective. It's also one of the few songs that can compete with its 8 counterpart, since some may prefer the more chipper vibe of the original or the flute that carries throughout the 8 version. Daisy Circuit's pretty simple layout-wise, but it makes the best use out of it. I love how orange everything is, and the statue of Luigi and Daisy is probably the best one out of the statues they added to various new tracks. Side note, this does not include the statue of Baby Daisy and Baby Luigi. That one's my least favorite, because it just has to include my least favorite character on the roster, UOC. Genuinely, who was asking for this? Who is this for? If you needed smaller characters, you have so much better options. EGAT probably fits that weight class. Shy Guy could have been there. Toadsworth would have been an easy alteration to Toad's model. Or you could have gone with a baby that actually existed, like Baby Wario or Baby Donkey Kong. Or even then, you didn't have to make a small character. Change either Diddy Kong or Bowser Jr. back into a small character and add Hammer Bro, since you were planning to anyway. A Pianta would have been cool to see. All of those other possible outcomes, and you go out of your way to design a child version of another character who for some godforsaken reason is easier easier to unlock than regular Daisy, just so they could be playable in the racing spin-off and only the racing spin-off. Off. Dude, I don't think that was a side note. Anyways, Daisy Circuit, yippee! It's really fun to turn around the statues, and the tunnel afterward is a nice set piece. The loop around the lighthouse is so cool, but I do miss the boost panels they had in the A version. Lastly, the elevated platforms are a really intriguing element. The first one is pretty much useless, but the second one where you can go on it for a tighter turn is a more welcome addition. Other than a layout, the track is carried hard by the sheer vibes it gives off. I love how lively this place feels. I can imagine myself finding a bench facing whatever body of water this is and just relaxing for a moment. Good ass track, and it's one of the best circuits in the series. GCN DK Mountain was a great track to bring back that didn't need much alteration for it to still be fun. Well, there obviously are some. The half pipes are too out of the way for me to use, but the ramps have much more of a purpose and it's fun to ride up them and plunge downward. Though it's not like Wii couldn't add anything else. Hell, I think the 8 version added more, with the visual overhaul the mountain got, the removal of the fake off-road, the cannon now being a glider ramp, and the bridge now wobbling to create opportunities for tricks, all being nice changes that make me like that version more. Still, DK Mountain's fun in any game it's in, and to be frank, Wii's looser controls have some merit here since I find the last couple of turns to be much more satisfying. Though that may be because my vehicle combo in 8 goes pretty wide, but I don't know, it doesn't matter. Going down a mountain is super fun, and by proxy so is this track. The only thing that could make it better is if it drops below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And the best retro track in the game, easily, is GCN Waluigi Stadium. At this point, I associate this track with Wii more than I do Double Dash, and it's all because of those half pipes around the piranha cutouts. Overall, the half pipes they added to the track are so cool. Even without considering those, it's a fun track. I love the theming of it, and the overall layout of the track is windy, with a ton of ramps and bumps to trick off of. It hits the same level of quality of the Nitro tracks, and at points it genuinely feels like one. Definitely the biggest glow up a track had gotten at that point, but it got a way bigger one in 8 Deluxe, which is the superior version, and just looks a hell of a lot better too. For what reason did you not remake Toad's Factory for Mario Kart 8, Nintendo? This one's a banger. It's a perfect way to end Wii's Mushroom Cup, and the theme is incredible. The factory contains an assortment of cool obstacles like conveyor belts and hydraulic presses that make great use of the setting. The course never lets you rest. As soon as you're done with one hazard, you're on to the next one, and the next one. And after you're slinged out right here as the music follows suit, you've got to go through some off-road by reaching out to some of these boost panels, which I really like, and finally hit another grandiose jump that's such a fun cap-off. God, why did they never remake it? Anyways, it has to be in Mario Kart 9 though. Can't wait to see it there.
Called it.
If there's one word to describe Moonview Highway, it'd be groovy. Although, I'm saying this while listening to a mashup of the 2 versions of the music from 8. Seriously, it's so good, listen to it when you have the chance. But Moonview Highway just has this air of confidence completely deserving of a slot in the Special Cup. The only thing I don't like about it is that I think the cars in Wii are a little too brutal. Though that may be appealing to other people, so it's not a huge setback. I said this in my 8 video, but Moonview Highway is by far my favorite traffic course in the series. The sharp and treacherous turns at the beginning contrast very nicely with the city portion, which, while still dangerous, feels alive, vibrant, and fast with a constant barrage of boost panels. The bomb cars in Wii specifically are terrifying since they're devastating to hit and are harder to spot in the open, creating a hell of an obstacle. Dude, Moonview Highway is just cool, an all-time great for sure. I preferred the original version of Coconut Mall to its remakes, like most people, but it's a closer race for me. I simply just like how the place looks in 8 more. Everything's become more vibrant with a nicer color palette and livelier music, to these turns being actually visually appealing. And while the cars in Wii make for better obstacles, they're too frustrating for my liking and don't look nearly as good as the Shy Guys rocking some pretty nice rides. But they just had to take out the boost panels, they messed too much with the initially motionless cars, whoop-de-f***ing-do. Yeah, I definitely still have issues with the remake. Like, the final jump outside was super cool with that glass panel you were brushing on, which is just gone in 8. It looks so cool, why didn't you keep that? And I guess I have to talk about the escalators. Yeah, I think it's more fun when there aren't glowing arrows coming out of them. Honestly, the only reason I find the escalators in Wii difficult is because that game runs at 480p natively. Alright, that's enough about Mario Kart 8. I felt for this course especially that those alterations were necessary to talk about, but I want to fully focus on the original and better incarnation. For one thing, that setting is just brilliant. Driving through a mall has been a bit of a poster child for what Mario Kart tracks should aspire for to be all-time classics. It can't do all the lifting though, so it's nice that the design of the track is also fantastic. The escalators are a very fun way to open the course, and I like how it then splits across this median like an actual mall would do. Then you hit some spacious sections connected by washing machine drums, which eventually guide you to probably the grandest jump in the game. It's exhilarating to launch out of the mall and swiftly turn before you have any time to process how amazing that just felt. Coconut Mall's a fan favorite for a reason, and here's to hoping we get a remake that can surpass this fantastic original incarnation. And also hoping that it doesn't have the stupid ass washing machine walls. I hate these walls so much, you guys don't even understand. I talked about this in my 8th video, but within the short time I owned Mario Kart Wii in my early childhood, I despised Mushroom Gorge with a vicious passion. I didn't know how to deal with the mushrooms, and I could never get past the Mushroom Cave. It was so awful to me back then. Then I lost access to Wii, got good at the game with 8, and now Mushroom Gorge is one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks of all time. First off, I do see why I struggled with the mushrooms so much. The trajectory you bounce off of them in Wii can be really bizarre, which is very evident in the Mushroom Cave, aided further without the glider shroom. Although, in certain cases, I really like how jank they are, since getting around them feels a lot more satisfying than I find them in 7 or 8, where they aren't as wild, but not as noteworthy either. That jank is a bit too much with the cool shortcut you can take at the beginning though. I'll probably still attempt it if I ever have a mushroom at that point, because it's still fun, but I don't enjoy it as much. Lastly, I just love the atmosphere of the stage. It feels treacherous being that high up, and it's brought home with the funky and chill music they didn't update for 7 or 8, because what is there to change? Mushroom Gorge is just great. When I first went into Mario Kart Wii, I was expecting my choice for my favorite track in the game to be a slam dunk. I mean, this was my favorite track from Wii and 8, so why wouldn't it be? But alas, I just didn't find Maple Tree Way as compelling as it was there. I mean, the track's still good, but there's some things with the Wii version that I don't necessarily jive with. Dude, I even prefer the Mario Kart 8 versions of the 2 tracks I have ranked above, but it's more of a problem with Maple Tree Way specifically. Just a minor nitpick, for example, the super cool shortcut right at the beginning with an alternate path is a little too obscured for my liking, and it makes going for it harder and a bit less fun. I also prefer the glider ramp to the wobbly bridge. It's a better fit with the rest of the track, and you have more control over where you end up, although that might just be a complaint of Wii's engine. And just in general, the 8 version looks better. Like, not even because of the more powerful hardware, I also prefer small changes like the color of the inside of this tree, for example. And if it wasn't enough, I also prefer 8's version of the music. But remake or original, Maple Tree Way is still wonderful. All of the different pathways through the trees are as fun as ever, and it makes brilliant use of the theme. Hell, something I like in the Wii version more is to turn up this trunk. In this game only, it feels treacherous and like it could fall off with a single slip up. I mean, it's Maple Tree Way, you can't go wrong with it. But there's a few tracks in Wii that I think are a bit better. From a gameplay perspective, I may prefer DK Summit here in Wii compared to 8. Though I'd still call that the superior version, since I think aesthetical upgrades like the clearer sky, the newly added DK statue, and the much more rocking music make that track more enjoyable there in my opinion. Racing on the actual track though, I find 8's version to be weirdly more janky than Wii. The glider cannon is a bit too slow for my liking, the moguls in this middle section launch you a bit too off, and as much of a fan as I am of how stupid 8's half-pipes function, the ones in Wii just work amazingly well with this course especially. I love going off to the side here and riding this one near the end, it's super satisfying to pull them off effectively. DK Summit just nails the ski resort theme. Rushing down the mountain feels not only fun, but the turns and obstacles you face feel like an actual ski track, and then you have the snowboarding Shy Guys in. Digging around in this area is so fun to do, oh dude! Whenever I play Mario Kart Wii, I always look forward to DK Summit, since it pushes the game's strengths to the limit and it is always a great time. But there's one course that I love even more. Mario Kart Wii's iteration of Rainbow Road is one of the most iconic and death-defying in the series. Every turn, no matter how safe it is, feels like you're running the risk of falling off. And you're gonna fall off and plummet down to earth in a fiery inferno at some point, no question there. The half-pipes here are so exquisite to pull off and integrate into your pathing, and I especially like how you have no choice but to do one at this section, since not only is that cool as shit, but every other half-pipe in the game is completely ignorable, heightening the appeal of this one in particular. The music, oh my god, it's so triumphant and beautiful, as is the status quo for Rainbow Roads. I especially love the drop too. So euphoric every time I hear that. If you manage to finish the race without messing up once, you feel like a god. There's not a feeling quite like completely mastering this course. The actual road looks beautiful, the track makes fantastic use of elevation, the rainbow tube's really cool, I love this final turn so much, the track is simply wonderful. It's one of my absolute favorite Rainbow Roads in this series, and my favorite track in Mario Kart Wii. So, that's all of Mario Kart Wii's tracks ranked. Like my Mario Kart 8 video, I've averaged each course's placement to determine statistically what I think the best cup is. The top spot goes to the Special Cup, which honestly, no surprise there. I probably place it at the top even without the influence of the stats. It's the only cup in Wii that doesn't contain a course I have issues with, and alongside that, I just love Moonview Highway and Rainbow Road. Last place for the Nitro Cups is the Flower Cup. Sorry Coconut Mall and DK Summit, being bundled along Wii Mario Circuit and Wario's Gold Mine will do that to you. I'm mostly surprised the Mushroom Cup managed to do better. Yeah, Luigi Circuit and Moo Moo Meadows are a bit of duds, but Mushroom Gorge and Toad's Factory might be the two best Mushroom Cup tracks in the franchise, which makes it all the more crazy that they're from the same game. Easily the best Mushroom Cup of all time. For retro courses, Lightning Cup takes home the gold. It didn't surpass any of the Nitro Cups, which makes sense, retro tracks weren't at their peak yet, but hey, Peach Gardens and DK Mountain are a ton of fun, even if they're dragged down by N64 Bowser's Castle a bit and by SNES Mario Circuit a lot. Finally, the Shell Cup got placed as the worst cup in the game. Peach Beach is a nice track, but it's all slop for the rest of the cup, oh goody. Also, while we're tying up loose ends, my favorite Nitro battle track and possibly in general is Funky Stadium, and my favorite retro battle track is GCN Cooking Land because you can drift around the track indefinitely and it's fun to pelt items and opponents this way. The courses are hard carrying the battle mode, teams being your only option is stupid, and being limited only to the standard carts and bikes is even stupider. Anyways, that's it for me with this super spontaneous video that managed to claw its way into becoming reality. And now that I've proved to myself and my subscribers that I am physically able to make a video in this short of time, I will either start making videos more frequently or plunge into despair. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed, it helps out more than you think. I hope to see you in the future, and goodbye. Funky Kong Flame Rotor Attack!